Hi guys, this is a video for the Basics of Actionscript 3, and first, this is based for people who have never used the software before and want to get into ActionScript 3 programming and similar languages. So first of all, when you open up Flash of any sort of Flash Professional, you want to click ActionScript 3. Note that ActionScript 3 only is on CS3 and upwards, so CS3, CS4, CS5, CS5.5 and CS6. So Macromedia, Flash 8, so on, won't be able to use this. So first of all, we've got this stage. This is where everything like your drawing elements will be. So you'll make movie clips, which you'll instance or name, and you'll reference that into the code. So, and on the timeline there'll be layer. So the first layer obviously will be actions. This is what you would normally always call the first layer actions and lock it so you don't mess up with it. In case it's better to have nothing on that layer. It's always nice to have everything organized into layers and have everything named, so on, because it just makes it easier when updating it. If you right click on a frame, it'll let you go into the actions. In ActionScript 3, everything like functions and how everything works is based on event listeners. And an event listener is basically something that listens for a function. So you instance something to listen of the type. So to add an event listener, I'll do add event listener. It'll go blue, and I want to make a type of event, and I would make it an enter frame event. An enter frame event is basically every time it enters a frame and my frame rate is going at 24 frames per second, well, it should be, as it says there, FPS. So this function will get called off 24 times a second. It's going 24 frames a second, so it'll get called off 24 frames a second. And this is basically used for update events and so on. So you'll do the event type and then you'll name it. Normally, I'm going to call it updates, and you'll close off like that, and that's correct. So to call a function, you would type function, then you would reference the event listener name, which is updates from here, and you would put it there. Then you'll do a bracket, and you'll name your function a separate name, what you can call inside of the function. So you could do event, I just normally do E, and then you'll do a colon and make it of type, and it has to respond to this type. So you'd want to make it event, and you would close it off, and you'd put void, and you put void because it means it doesn't return any values, and then you close it off. You end it with this inward bracket, weird bracket, and you close it with that bracket, that right bracket thing. I don't even know the name of it. But that's basically how a function works. And to demonstrate this, I will do the trace command. If you don't know, the trace command is basically how you would output or output a statement. So you could do this is an output, and all sorts of strings and text and so on is done within the statement double apostrophe things and you close it off with that. So you close off with brackets and you trace that. So it's basically saying to trace and print out, or to output anything that's in this bracket, which is that. So if I press enter, control and enter, which exports it, it'll just constantly output. This is an output. because it's firing off 24 times a second. So if you have a look at the output, we've got tons of these. This can be very beneficial for debugging, because we can do multiple things rather than just strings. So we can create a variable, and a variable is basically a sort of a container to hold information which can change. So to make a variable in, yeah, that's nice. So to make a variable in Flash, we just type var, and for those who don't know, that's a previous video which is just gone uploaded now. But you make a var and you would name the variable. So I'm just going to call this name of var because I'm simple, and you would type it. So you do semicolon and a type. I'm going to make this let's say a number, and you make it type number, and you'd equals it to some sort of value. You can also just do that and end off there, and it'll just, the value will be nothing, it'll be not available. So I'm going to make the value 0, and if I trace name of var, because what I'm doing is I'm referencing that variable, it'll look, when it goes through this statement, it'll look for anything called name of var, it'll find 0 and it'll trace 0, as you can say 0. But if I put the actual apostrophes in, it would actually trace name of var, because it's not looking for anything. It'll just think that's a proper string when it's really trying to reference a variable. So there's also the fact that if you try and put a string into a number, it will not work. Well, it shouldn't. It'll give you an error saying that it's not compatible. And that's the same as making this a mouse event, because it's not compatible with the event. So if I do this, it gives me errors because it can't convert it. Pretty self-explanatory. And that's basis of functions and simple variables, the trace command anyway. I will see you in the next video.